can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Weisz.
Dr. Jeremy Weisz here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I interview top entrepreneurs and founders. And we're here with Steve Lunseth, and he's the founder of Aatrix, and we're here at the Sage Summit. Steve, tell us a little bit about what Aatrix does.
We provide payroll reporting for all of the Sage products. So we'll do the W-2s, the 1099s,
Really? Wow.
all the payroll reports. Our company is responsible for about 20 million of the W-2s in the United States, about 12.5%.
That's crazy. So why did you start this?
Well, we originally were a payroll software developer on the Macintosh platform, and the Macintosh was a dying platform for business use back in the 90s. So we decided to take part of our payroll software, which is the reporting component, and offer that to other accounting companies so that they could allow their users to report W-2s, 1099s, and all the rest of there are 170 government agencies in the U.S. that businesses have to report to when they're finished with payroll, and every one of them has a very complex method of reporting, either a different file format, different form, different login, and we consolidate all that so that the user is always compliant. They have one single login, very easy for them to report.
So you've been in software since the 90s?
Since the 80s.
Since the 80s. So what's software like in the 80s and then compared to now?
Well, it's a lot different now.
Talk about the 80s.
Well, in the 80s, we were just in the infancy, so we were developing personal finance software.
The infancy of everything. What do you mean?
Infancy of everything.
Yeah.
Well, if you want
What did the internet look like in the 80s?
If you want to go way back,
Yeah.
I started as an advertising agency.
Okay.
And in order for my ad agency in a small community to be efficient, I had to computerize. So when the Apple computer came about, we were one of Apple's first developers. In fact, we're probably today one of Apple's, if not Apple's oldest Macintosh developer. So we used the Macintosh platform to develop ads, even with dot matrix printers and later laser printers, etc. But we needed finance software. So I hired a couple of programmers to build some payroll and some finance software. And that's really how the company began.
So are you very technical, or were you just hiring the technical ability?
Well, I had some programming classes in high school and college, so I'm not a programmer, but I understand the lingo and the mechanics of programming. Yeah. So no, I'm not a programmer. I guess you'd call me the company visionary. So I try to see the future, try to read the customer's needs, and then we try to fulfill their needs.
So it started off as an ad agency, and then talk about some of the evolution of the company, because we're talking, 80s till now.
Well, sure. So in the beginning, we built a check writing software. It was called Check Writer Pro and High Finance. It was the #1 selling personal finance package on the Macintosh.
What do people use it for? What's a check writing software?
Well, they use it for their personal finances.
Okay.
So it was similar to Quicken, for example.
Gotcha.
And one of our competitors went to Apple and started shipping their product in every box. And so we were out of business immediately. We had gotten a lot of seed capital. We'd gotten about $400,000 worth of seed capital to build our product and to make our brand name. And so
how do you
we
get
struggled.
Seed capital? That's not easy to do.
Well, we got it through the local government and through the state of North Dakota.
Yeah.
And so we had to pay that back. So for a long time, we were a very small company trying to pay back those startup loans. And then I decided to take part of our payroll component and focus on that. And it took us, probably 10 or 15 years to perfect that.
Yeah.
It's a very complex process on the back end. On the front end, for the end user, it's a very, very simple process. So we have a 96% recommend rating from our customers.
Wow.
And when we first surveyed it, it was 93%. And I said, don't tell anybody. it can't be 93%. No one has a 93% rating. Sample size is too small. Next year it was 93%. I said, no, it's not possible. But now it's been 8 years running, and it's creeping up. So I guess it's true.
What's one of your favorite customer success stories? Someone using it and just loving it, and what they were able to accomplish with it?
We had one company that had thousands of employees, and they had a whole division to do payroll reporting because they were in many states. They had 3 employees, and it would take them up to a week every quarter to process their reports. And they sent us a testimonial that they were done in about 4 hours.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
That's amazing, and we're very happy. We get customers all the time that say they love our product, and we save them a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Steve, we talk about, with entrepreneurship, there's highs and lows. And you mentioned when I walked up that there have been 4 really low points.
Right.
Talk about a few of those.
Well,
when was the first one?
Well, the first one was when we developed our personal finance software, and that market was taken away from us overnight. And we had a lot of employees, and we had a lot of debt. We had to cut down to 3 employees. So I was doing technical support, sales, I had an accountant, and I had a programmer. Yeah. And I was copying disks at night for tax tables and sending them out. And then other lows were when the Mac...
Stick there for a second. Sure. So how do you get through that? I mean, that is a hard thing to endure, especially overnight. It doesn't give you time to process. It's like a death in the family. Like if you have a longer time, it's not saying it's easy, but it's easier a little bit. You can kind of adjust to it. But what were you thinking when that happened overnight?
Well, I have a method for dealing with that because I've had a number of those difficult times, and my method for dealing with it is only to think about the future. Yeah. So I don't think about the present, I don't think about the past. I wipe them off the slate, and I just think about the future and what can I do to get larger or to get bigger or do a better job, and that's the way my mind works. And sometimes that's a disadvantage.
It's hard to think of the future though when you get wiped out overnight. What?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought maybe I could be a greeter at Walmart.
So you had an option.
I had an option. You always have plan A and you have plan B.
And you have a plan B that doesn't seem desirable, so you don't go with plan B.
Yeah, well, that's right. But, you look at the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario?
Right.
I live on welfare. I got a fishing rod. I sit by a lake and cast out and have a beer in my hand.
That's what you're going to do in retirement anyways.
That's the worst case scenario.
So that was the first big low point. What was the next one after that?
Well, the next one was the Macintosh actually declined. So we built up our payroll software, and we were the largest Macintosh developer of payroll software. We had 7,000 customers, and the Macintosh started a severe decline. They went from 11% down to 2% market share within a couple of years. And that really eroded our market and eroded our opportunity as well. So that was another low point. And we had to shrink a little bit, but we used that as an opportunity. Yeah. At first I was depressed, but then there were accounting companies that wanted to get out of the Macintosh market, so we started to acquire them. And we acquired them for pennies on the dollar. We acquired Peachtree for Macintosh. We acquired a product called Mac P&L, and they had reasonable customer bases. So we used those customer bases. So we provided them with our payroll software, sold them our tax tables, and so the company would go up, and then it would continue this decline. Then we'd acquire someone else, company would go up, and it would follow this decline.
What made you think of that acquisition? Because it's almost counterintuitive, right? Things are going down.
Right.
It's like a Warren Buffett way of probably investing, right? It's a little counterintuitive. What made you think to start acquiring these companies?
I don't even know. I can't. I think maybe I was approached by one because they didn't want to deal with the Macintosh customers any longer and kind of needed a way out. And then the second one, I just approached them and they said, "Oh yeah, we want to get out of the Mac market." But what I did then was I used those funds to develop this payroll reporting product that we have today.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There were a couple of other low points, divorce and so on, but those were a couple of major low points, yeah.
What's been the proudest moment, business achievement?
Well, I think the proudest moment has been the last couple of years where our product has really taken off, and we're seeing growth rates some months and some product lines as high as a 60% growth rate. Wow. So the company is growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, in the last 2 years, our company size has doubled. And so that creates a lot of satisfaction. Yeah. And I should say maybe the first highest satisfaction is the vast number of testimonials that we get, customers that love our product. We get thousands of them every year when we do our annual survey, and they say, "We love you. You're saving me a lot of time. I can't believe I got along without you guys." And I guess that probably is the most proud that I am, that I'm saving people a lot of time.
Yeah. Steve, I want to talk about a big lesson. And you talked about don't give up, work hard. Where does that come from? Is that from early on?
I can tell you where that came from. My grandmother, who was Norwegian, she's long gone now, but she saw the struggles, and I would talk to her about the struggles. My mother had passed away, so she was kind of like my mother figure, and she just would always say to me, "Just stick to her, Steve." And that was the lesson that I learned, just stick to it. And so no matter how tough it was, no matter how hard it was, I just stuck to it.
Yeah. From the Sage Summit, thank you so much. Everyone should check out Aatrix. What's the website they should check out online?
www.aatrix.com, 2 A's in Aatrix.
Aatrix.com. Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.